Welcome to the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast, episode number 149 with Terry Dussault. Terry, I'm not sure I said that right. Could you help me if that the pronunciation was wrong, please?
No, you have it right. Thank you,
Okay,
David.
thank you. Uh, so Terry is going to talk about construction safety today, and I think before that we get going, Terry, if you could just give the audience a little bit of background about yourself, please.
Yeah, my name's Terry Dussault, and I've been involved in construction safety for many, many years, probably over 25 years now, and also have a lot of background in general industry safety as well. So it's been, a huge part of my career. I've actually been involved in construction activities myself, and also like warehouse production and manufacturing kind of stuff as well. So the safety stuff kind of comes easy to me.
Oh, awesome then. Good,
Yeah.
good, good. So I don't have that much knowledge about construction things, so hopefully I'm not asking questions that seem a little too easy and a little too basic for you. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead there and get started. So as I was doing some research on construction safety, it seems like still that there's a lot of issues with ladders and fall protection and scaffolding and all that. What have you seen as been the big hazards out on, gosh, I hate to say your typical construction site because there probably isn't a typical construction site, but what do you see out there as the big hazards?
Well, I think the two things that really come to mind for me the most is what you said, falls, slips, trips, and falls. And that could be, slips that are, on the same surface or same level, or trips, or even falls from a level above, or when people are working from heights. Like I just had a project recently where they were doing a lot of work. They were building a roof, and it's a industrial site where they do wastewater treatment, and the
Mm,
workers were they were up around 35 feet working, putting on the roof panels. And so they were up there for a while, but fall protection was a big part of that. And so, when you go look at the OSHA standards here and you look at some of the incidents that are the top ones, even with OSHA, falls is one of the highest risk types of work that could be done, or working from heights. And it results in falls a lot of times. So that's a big one. And then the other one that I see a lot, because I also do incident investigations. And so the thing that I see is struck by incidents. And
oh,
that,
okay.
yeah, so in construction, that's a big deal because you have a lot of moving equipment like, skid steers and, different types of, forklifts and reach lifts and things like that. And they move pretty fast. So workers tend to sometimes put themselves in a position where they can't be seen. They underestimate how fast the equipment can move, or they turn their back on it. And sometimes in construction, you end up with, struck by incidents related to equipment. But there's a lot of other ways, a
Mhm.
lot of other ways to uh, be struck by either equipment, falling objects, or things like that. So,
So one of the very few times I ever had to do some construction safety, we were doing a lot of concrete work, some excavating. We really weren't digging down low, just kind of more making it flat. And we realized that there was a lot of people with a lot of different languages on site. So we sat down, and I don't remember where that we found like your standard hand and arm signals that you could kind of say, hey, turn left, turn right, slow down, speed up, and all that. And boy, that really, really helped out a lot then because sometimes when you have that language barrier, you're trying to get your point across, and sometimes they just struggle with getting their whole point across then. So.
yeah, that's a really good point. I see that a lot. And sometimes when people don't work with a standardized set of hand signals, Like if they're trying to back up a truck or be the spotter for a truck, they can actually miscommunicate. And so the truck driver that's driving the truck backwards, or the vehicle or whatever it is, they get mixed up and they think that the worker that was spotting them meant for them to, engage the truck or piece of equipment and go backwards when that's not what they meant. So, yeah, the language barrier you're bringing up is a really good point, in that the hand signals is super important, but as long as everybody understands what the hand signals are.
Ah,
Um,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so we even had like this little handout for the folks who did not work on site. Like if you're just going to come and drop a load of concrete and leave, you may not know like 100% like exactly what that we did. And that's why that we really tried to find those standardized signals. So when somebody would show up, we'd say, all right, this is a standardized signal. And for the most part, we stumbled upon it by sheer accident, of course, that we just happened to find the right ones and practice the right ones too. Because, like you said, we really could have made things worse by trying to think that we're trying to solve a issue out there and some kind of problem and make things worse. So, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's a good point. A really good point.
Do you have any experience with things like trenching and shoring? So that is
Uh,
something that I've never had to really work with.
yeah, I do a lot of that. I do site inspections for some clients that do underground work. And yesterday I was out at a job site where they had an open trench and they were backfilling and compacting the trench.
Mm,
And so when I go out and do these kinds of inspections, it's, important to make sure that they're following all the, protocols to be safe, and making sure that they have the right kind of shoring, that they have ladders positioned in the, in the trench or excavation where they're needed. And sometimes, I mean, I've seen mishaps even when there is shoring. This one incident that happened about a year and a half ago, I was out at a job and they were using trench boxes and they stack them up on top of each other. And
mm,
the trench was about 20 feet deep, and they pinned the trench boxes together. And one of the workers didn't really, put the pin in properly. And so I made him take it out and put it back in the right way. And a little while later, there's two workers down inside this trench, and the sidewall of the excavation collapsed, and it sheared off and it hit the side of the shoring. And even though they were protected inside, the shore box, uh, it really rattled them, because it was a pretty significant piece of soil that sheared off or sloughed off the sidewall. And so it made a lot of racket. Luckily, everything was squared up properly. But if that pin wasn't in there, the situation could have been different. So there's a lot that can go wrong with trenching and shoring, and making sure that everything is set up right, and that you have a competent person out there running the job. That's super important. And
yeah,
sometimes contractors, they go out and start doing work and they dig and they dig, and they don't really have a competent person, and they don't know that just by where they take the soil out of the excavation and place it, like if it's not 2 feet away from the sidewall or greater, that it could actually make the sidewall collapse while they have people inside, and they can die if it's, it doesn't have to be very deep for somebody to die, because I think it's like 1 cubic yard of soil weighs about up to 2,800 pounds. So that's a little bit of soil, but a lot of weight.
right,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And probably the folks I mean, maybe not on their knees, but they're focused on doing whatever the work is. They're not standing up 100% erect while doing the work, and their head is above the trench. And so yeah,
yeah,
that can end real fast then. So a friend of mine was telling me about I'm trying to think of what kind of truck it was, but the truck got too close to the shoring also. And they're not sure if it was just the weight or the vibration of the truck or, a combination of several things then, but really started to cave that soil in. The truck didn't do any collapsing or rolling over, but it definitely, um, gosh, I hate to even use like some untechnical terms, but kind of kinked down to the left on the left side then because of the tires and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
that really could have ended up with not just the trench there like collapsing, but the truck, of course, rolling over at the same time too.
yeah. Sometimes in those situations, you can have like, well, there's multiple things that'll happen. And when the equipment or trucks get too close to the sidewall will shear off. But the term for it is called, or the phrase is that when it does shear off, it's because of surcharge. So
Surcharge.
they call it surcharge. When the equipment gets too close, a big giant chunk could just fall off uh, abruptly without any warning at all.
Hmm.
I've seen one of the situations that I saw that was probably the most alarming. I investigated this incident where they have these big graders. It's like a 657 scraper, they call it, when they're
Hmm.
doing big grading operations. And the operator actually rolled it,
Whoa.
and they weigh a couple 100,000 pounds when they're fully loaded. So you would think that there's no way you could roll this thing, but he did, and the thing rolled over completely upside down, and in doing so, it ended up landing just on the edge of a 70-foot embankment. Like, it was pretty sheer there. So how he didn't roll it all the way down the mountain, it was just pure luck because part of it was hanging over. And
Right, right.
in the incident investigation, we found out that we had to do a post-accident drug and alcohol test, and we interview all the witnesses, and we find out that from a couple of the workers, they're all working out of town, so they're on per diem, right? And
Hmm.
they're hanging out at the hotel all night drinking, and they were drinking till 3 in the morning.
Oh.
They got to work at 6 in the morning,
Hmm.
and the accident happened at like 6:45. So the guy was essentially drunk, and
Hmm.
so when the workers, said that they were drinking the night before, everybody got drug and alcohol tested, and 3 people ended up getting fired over it. But
Wow.
but with that kind of equipment, you can't. You got to be like in a super focused, and you need a good frame of mind, fit for duty, right? So
Oh yeah, yeah,
okay.
yes, yes. So while that we're kind of on that subject of drug and alcohol testing, how is the concrete industry, not concrete, I'm sorry, how is the construction industry kind of tackling where in more and more states, things like marijuana is legal now?
That's a really good question. There's no perfect answer, but what I can say now is that some companies, they've always maybe had a drug and alcohol policy, and so let's say, somebody says, "Hey, I, have a medical marijuana card, so it's legal for me to use marijuana." You can't use it during, work. So how do you differentiate that, right?
Right, exactly.
Especially if you have workers that are performing tasks that are super high risk, like heavy equipment operations, working at heights, or something else. Um, the employer, uh, it's really upon them to make sure that their policy, whatever it is, will cover, you know, the seriousness of that type of work. And I think now there's some tests that can be done where they know if the person has used marijuana, like within the shift, I guess, because they have different ways of testing now that they didn't have before. And a lot of employers or people may not even be aware of that. So, I guess, it's there's no easy answer for it. It's, some people may need to use medical marijuana, but when it comes to their job, if it's going to put themselves at risk or somebody else at risk, the employer needs to really buckle down and figure out how they're going to tackle that. Yeah, because you
Right.
need people in like a perfect frame of mind, when they're doing certain jobs.
Right. And in a perfect world, we wouldn't worry about creating a job. We would just say, you have a medical need to use this. We're going to move you to maybe we'll call it a non-safety sensitive, you know, job, which I'm not really
Yeah,
sure is out there at a construction site, except for maybe working inside the trailer because everybody's like
yeah,
really doing something. They're very hands-on, very focused. Wow,
yeah,
yeah, I think I'm going to do some asking and start peeling this onion back. It's because yeah, there has to be a mechanism out there that you can say, hey, it's on shift, or the person used X days ago and thus not on shift, of course, too. So,
yeah. And
mhm,
and from a human resource standpoint, because safety and human resources usually works together. That's
mhm,
in an ideal world. But
mhm,
the human resources person should have policies that actually um, identify the levels of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And I'm not sure how many employers are really doing that, but in these types of jobs where it's safety sensitive, like you said, it's probably important to have that.
right, right. Some things are very easy to put in. Things like you will have a clean shaven face every day because you may have to wear a respirator. That's pretty easy. That doesn't mean that everybody shows up every day with a clean shaven face because they know, well, the odds of me having to do this are really rare. So do I
Yeah,
really have to shave every day? But
yeah.
mhm,
We've
mhm.
had to make people shave beards that they had for like one
Yeah.
one guy said, he said to me, Terry, I've had this beard for 4 years, and my wife does not look like how I look without it. And I said, well, this we're doing environmental work. We're digging contaminated soil, and we're transporting it, and you're going to have to be in the mix, and that's part
Yeah,
of the job.
right.
And I can't even fit test you if you don't shave it. So from day one, I said, I felt bad, because, he was really attached to his beard, or, and he was upset because he had to do it, but he needed the money, and
Right.
he needed the job, so
Right, right,
uh,
right, right.
just, I
I
think,
have had folks try and tell me that they can pass with the beard on still, and thus they don't have to shave. I said, well, why don't we just do the fit test to see what happens? And every single one has failed, of course. And the guys are like, gosh, I guess I really have to. I mean, I knew it was a condition of the job, but I didn't think I was really going to have to shave ever. And well, sorry, but
yeah,
you know, I know it really is. I don't know if I would call it a bad feeling because everybody knows that they really have to, but they just think that nobody's going to really enforce it, of course, too,
yeah,
at the same time then. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me switch gears on you a little bit and talk about portable generators because a lot of times when we start these construction sites, there really is no power out there.
yeah.
So in your experience, when you guys come out, you bring up these generators, or sometimes it's just temporary power of some sort. What kind of
Yeah.
hazards have you seen with this temporary power on sites?
Um, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of incidents around generator
Awesome
use.
then. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
it's
then.
as long as the generators, I guess with portable generators, the main hazard is lifting them and
Mm,
getting them in and out of the work trucks. Because well, a lot of them now are a lot more compact, which is nice, and they're making them lighter. And so, sometimes, a couple guys may try and muscle some big generator out of the back of the truck, and they could get a sprain or a strain, and those turned into OSHA recordable incidents sometimes. So anytime you're lifting anything big and heavy like that, that's a concern. The other thing with I call them towable generators, the ones that you would use to power up like the office trailer, the portable
Hmm.
trailers.
Hmm.
Sometimes, with those, you just have to make sure that they're maintained properly and the wheels are chalked. I have seen some of those trailers, uh, they've actually rolled off, so
Mm.
as long as they're set up right. And I always encourage using an electrician when, running the power from the generator to the office trailer, because a lot of construction guys will try and do it. And it's not super hard, but if something happens and you're not a qualified electrician, that's not going to serve your company well or you.
Right.
So, and some of them put out a lot of power. There's some that are, you know, they go all the way up now. I mean, it's crazy because they use them not just on construction sites, but they use them for backup power too at a lot of facilities.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Huh.
So they're all over the place, but generators, for the most part, I haven't seen a lot of incidents around them. They're
Hmm.
super handy. I
Hmm.
mean, I was at a site yesterday where they have a portable generator, and the issue there was when I do the site inspections, I look at safety issues. I'm looking for just a variety of things that could result in a property damage or a financial loss. And so on this particular towable trailer, when I opened the panels to look at it, I noticed that the oil filters had not been changed since 2021. And so when I went back and I started looking at calculating at how many runtime hours this thing had, I think it only had 4,500 runtime hours, but it hasn't been serviced
Right.
since 2,000 hours. And you know, it's still running, but how long is it going to run without the proper service? So
Right. Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Running to failure is a strategy. It's just not a preferred strategy out there
yeah,
to keep on running. So
yeah.
Terry, we are bumping up on time.
Okay.
Could you take a couple of minutes and let the audience know how that they can find you and connect you and get more information on construction safety?
Yeah, sure. So my company is called yellowknifesafety.com, and or www.yellowknifesafety.com is the best way to get a hold of me. On the website, it explains everything that we do, but just to give you a quick summary, we do everything from custom site health and safety plans that we will put together for clients. And we do a lot of program documents, meaning on some of the big projects, they're required to have these activity hazard analysis sheets or job safety analysis. So we have a library of those. We do trainings. I have about 100 online trainings on our website. So we provide a lot of different types of services to support a variety of clients, and not just construction, but general industry, aerospace, um, oil and gas. There's a lot of them. So I have a background in environmental, so I've done a lot of site cleanups and things like that. So
Oh yeah,
and yeah,
all those are always fun because it seems
yeah,
like every time I have to go and do one, it's like 105 and I have to wear a level C all day, you know. So
yeah, yeah,
good times, all right, good
yeah,
times.
for sure.
Yeah. Terry, I didn't get through at least a quarter of the things I wanted to talk about. So hopefully we can sit down, connect. I can get you
Yeah,
back on again, over in the future. So I wanna thank you for taking time out of your busy day and talking about construction safety.
no problem. Thank you. Appreciate it, David.
All right, Terry, thank you so much. You have a great day. See ya.
Okay.